And we are live. Good morning, guys. As usual, I'm right in the nick of time. Give me one sec here. How's everybody doing today? All right, guys. Welcome to the Fitness Marketing Hub podcast. First one in a while. Not sure who's with me today, but let me know. Hopefully, some familiar faces. Very excited about today's show, as I had mentioned, and as you saw in the thumbnail. Callie Bundy's joining us today. For any of you guys who really look at your YouTube channels or your social media presence in general as a potential business, this is the person to talk to. There are a lot of people out there who are coaches who claim to know a lot about this stuff. She lives it. She lives it on a daily basis. She's got started just like you guys are, and she's built a nice career out of it. And she's going to share a lot of what she's done, as well as what you guys can do to utilize, whether it's your YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is you're doing, and to leverage that into hopefully dollars and cents. So I'm not even going to wait. I'm going to bring on Callie here. Just hang on one sec. I forget how to do all this stuff. It's been a while. Good morning.
I'm glad you still know what you're doing.
I totally don't. I totally don't. I'm forgetting everything.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, we got some guys. Dow Smith, good morning. Lisa, good morning. Facebook user, I'm not sure who it is. There's a thing on Facebook where I guess you have to give StreamYard permission to show who you are or something. So Facebook user, let me know who you are. Coming in for a few minutes before I go to work. Lewis, how are you doing? Yeah, guys, you picked the right day to tune in. In addition to going into a deep dive with Callie as far as what she does and how she does it, I did mention yesterday that if time permitting and if people are interested, I can do a couple of channel reviews at the end and kind of take a look and see what's going on. Any of you guys that are planning for growth in 2023, it starts right now because it is November, and you don't want to be starting in January. You want to have momentum going into January, which is why I'm doing this today, and hopefully James Quantz Jr. I've heard of him. He's a famous photographer, I think. Callie.
Yeah,
wow.
I think he also kind of knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
He does. He's told me several times.
Yeah, I think you, him, and I have all been in the same room together at one point.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a good starting point too. As you can probably tell, guys, I'm familiar with Callie. I think we met. Would it be 2016?
Yeah, Miami.
I think it was, yeah, the Rob Gronkowski shoot.
Yeah.
And James Quantz, who is in there, was there as well, I believe, on that one, right? That might have been James's first shoot too, if I recall. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with the role that I had at that time, you stood out immediately to me because at that point I've dealt with quite a few ambassadors, influencers of different tiers, and you were different. And that's one thing that we talk about a lot in here is being different and standing out from the pack. And do you believe that's part of what has helped you as far as
1,000%?
Yeah. Because I mean, you've never come across, like, I know you've got a fitness background, you have competed in fitness, but you also have like a pretty significant sports background.
Yes.
And for those of you who may not be familiar with Callie, she throws a football better than half the quarterbacks in the NFL that I've seen. So that's kind of how she initially got on the map. These videos started popping up and went viral. I don't know how long ago that was.
Yes. So I got on the map before that though, I started building my accounts through like fitness and fitness competitions.
Okay.
That's how I originally started. And yeah, I don't know if you had a point to start, but I could go back as to like why I started social media and tell that whole story, or you.
Yeah, well, give the you can kind of start the embryonic phase of this, and I mean, I've got 1,000 questions, and I know a lot about where you've gone, but you let me know how it kind of got started for you.
Yeah, so I was a marketing major, so to me, the biggest thing I learned in marketing is there's value in eyeballs. So when social media came out, I was actually trying to do a lot of TV hosting at the time.
Mhm.
And I was going out for auditions and no one knew who I was. Like I don't know anyone in the industry. I didn't know, I didn't know a casting director. I didn't know this person. I didn't know that person. And I was working with a hosting coach at the time who basically explained to me that, because I would get down to like the final one, the final two, the final three, and then they would end up picking somebody who had, already kind of a built-in audience,
Right.
right? So the sense of they came from, some show on Fox Sports where, they're like, oh, we already know that these, 100,000 people are going to come follow them to this show because people know their name, they know this.
Right.
So to me, when I heard that, like the light went off in my marketing head and I was like, I'm going to build my own audience. So that's what I started doing. And at the time I was competing in the NPC and then of course went on to the IFBB, but I started building my initial platforms through fitness. And that was fun and cool and different for me. But yeah, as an athlete, I played 3 sports in high school. I played Division I softball in college. Like all I ever wanted to do was play sports. So at the end of the fitness competitions, that's really because like the fitness stuff I was building a decent following, but like you said, it wasn't really very different, right? Like
Yeah.
there wasn't anything that was differentiating me. And then I was kind of at the end of competing. I had done it for 5 or 6 years and I missed sports. I just wanted to go out and throw a football again and I had no one to do it with.
Yeah.
So I just went out and threw a football at a cardboard box. And that's when that part of my career kind of took off.
Right. So like one of the things that I see a lot and even with people that I coach and work with is they're at this level where there's they're starting to grow, and as you start to grow you start to get contacted by brands, and like really the thing that I was most excited about bringing you on here today is I see people who are very talented, who are very good at what they do, but anything to do with brand ambassadors or influencing, it's like a product for is pay. The product is the pay, and then they're doing a video, they're being told exactly what to say. Like the biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out for people like this and explain to them is like, what did you do that basically kept you out of that into not just paying jobs but higher paying jobs? Like are there certain things that I'm sure there's a certain amount of just social connections and even little ounces of luck here and there, but are there certain things that you will not do to protect the value that you've kind of reached at this point? Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing first and foremost is I've always remained authentic to myself, in whatever capacity, even if that means, certain things are trending on social media, but they're just not for me. They're not something that like I can authentically put my soul into. I
Yeah.
won't do it. It just because I think that's the biggest thing when you see a lot of people creating content, you can see the people that are authentic in their energy when they put that content out versus the people that are just trying to do it because they know it's popular.
Yeah.
It's like you can see it right away. And it's that authenticity of staying true to yourself and your brand that like when someone like you who sees all these influencers and brands, you're like, oh, Callie, she's different because I never tried to be anyone but myself,
Yeah.
right? Like I always did things that I genuinely enjoyed doing. If there was something that didn't resonate with me, whether it was, a brand or type of content or whatever it was, I say no. Like that's
Yeah.
like rule number 1, like don't be afraid to walk away from the table.
Something I always appreciated about your posts when we were working closer on with the supplement brand was I always found your posts to be the product was almost subliminal. It was you know how to weave the product into your lifestyle as opposed to cramming yourself into a product's lifestyle. And I think that comes down to, again, whoever hires you trusting you enough to know that you know how to present this to your audience. Because like you said, I see so many people who will do, whether it's like a product in exchange for a review or something, and it just seems like it's crowbarred into a social media channel. And to me, with all of the advertisements that come up in social feeds now and YouTube and all that stuff, it's very hard to be genuine. And I think it's very important. And I think it's whether you have 100 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, I think it's important to value those people and not insult their intelligence or, take advantage of them, so to speak, by peddling products that are not good or not good quality. And I mean, I've got a shelf behind me filled with free stuff that I've gotten. Half of it I haven't reviewed because once I received it, I realized that it's not a good quality product. And I just think it's doing a disservice to these people that you've slowly built up, as subscribers, to try and sell them something that you pretty much know is not a great product.
Yeah. And that's like people can see that.
Callie, as you're talking there, hang on one sec. I just got to plug in my computer.
Okay. No worries. Yeah. And I think, I've always said one of my mantras especially with social media, is don't confuse popular for good. So a lot of people see, popular influencers who have like massive followings, and I don't know if you could hear me, Regan, when I was talking.
Nope. I can't.
Okay. So I was just saying to them, one of my mantras that I've always had especially for social media, is don't confuse popular for good. So a lot of people have these, massive followings, 700,000, million, 2 million, but their content and the way that they grew that following doesn't equate to dollars. So it's kind of like what you said, if the product's taking center stage or they're posting a certain kind of content that, like, brands, again, the bigger the brands, the bigger the advertising budgets. So if you're doing something that's like going to reflect on their brand, they're not going to work with you. So if you want to get those bigger budgets, you have to do things that are more brand friendly. And a lot of these popular or large fitness accounts can really flirt or cross the line altogether to just grow, the followers and get and that's not really, it's like a fine line between don't confuse popular for good.
Yeah, exactly. And like Lisa says, same in the Pilates world. I think it's the same across the board for sure.
Yeah, so, it doesn't matter, like the industry, the field. I think almost anyone can agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So just so you guys that are watching know, like, if you guys ever want to pop in with a question for Callie or me or anybody, feel free to jump in there. We can always, go down the rabbit hole here and there. And I'm going to do the same thing to you, Callie, because I know a lot of the people that are watching right now, they're not at the level you are. So there may be some questions that I ask you that are more based on maybe being at a smaller level of influencer. Like, first thing that pops in mind, what are your thoughts on reviews in exchange for product on social channels? Let's say somebody has 1,000 YouTube subscribers and somebody's offering a product in exchange for doing a review on it. Like, do you think that's damaging? Like, do you think somebody, like, when do you start negotiating? I guess, like, pretend this is somebody that's relatively new, because that's always the biggest thing with a majority of the people that I coach, is integrating them into this. They're starting and they don't know what they're worth. They don't know what to charge for a review. They don't know if they should charge for a review. They're not sure, what the value is, if it's worth it doing it for a product and that sort of thing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at that. First and foremost, it depends just if you want to. Like, if it's a brand that you've always wanted to work with, or has huge exposure, or it's just a really nice, like, I don't know, maybe it costs a lot and you don't want to buy it, like, I don't know, like, whatever it is. If it's a brand that for whatever reason you just want to do the review, but they're only offering product, that's just completely up to you. That's first and foremost. But when do you start negotiating? Right away. Like, it's always like, okay, do you have a budget, right? Because everybody, and especially fitness brands, are notorious for just giving product. They have some of the worst budgets in influencer marketing overall. Like, they try to get everybody to do everything for free. So this is something I actually pre-COVID used to travel around and talk to influencers all the time about, especially females in the fitness industry, because I think culturally it's like, oh, I think a lot of the times too, like we're just conditioned to say yes to the first offer,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, that's great, I'm so excited, I can't believe they reached out to me, like, yeah, I'll absolutely do it. And it's like, no, always ask first for the budget, like,
Yeah.
and then of course if they don't have a budget and if it's a product you want to do, sure, do it. Does it have a downside? I don't think that it does. um I even think if you really want to do reviews, go pick products that you are excited about, and go do those as well. But
Yep.
no, I don't think there's really a downside if a brand reaches out and they want you to do a review for a product, and if you are interested in it and say there's no budget, it's just a product exchange or just doing a review. If you're excited about it, I really don't think there's a downside, as long as it's aligned with your brand and you're being honest and transparent about what you're doing.
Yeah. I one of my main sponsors started out as me using their product on my own and tagging them. And I did that for several months. And the one thing I got out of it initially was they were reposting because the content was good and it had their
Yes.
product in it, and they didn't have a lot of video marketing. So I was gaining subscribers because they did have a following because their product is good. And then I just stopped. And this was completely strategy. I just stopped using their product long enough for them to contact me. And that's when it worked out into a really good sponsorship deal that I've had now for about 2.5 years. Um,
Yeah.
so there is value in that. And that's kind of
Mhm.
one of those things that it's hard. It's a fine line. But if you look at a brand and you see, okay, this brand has 500,000 social media followers, they look like legitimate followers. There is what's the word I'm looking for? Value, I guess, in residual value in those people, because if you're presenting something with this product of theirs, and they're reposting it, because one thing I know about supplement companies, I've been involved with several, and they bomb through their budgets fast, and once they do, if you're able to present good quality content with their product, that's worth money to them. That's like the average shoots that I would go on, just very basic day shoots for social media content, you're looking at $6, 7, $8,000. And that's what some of these, and not every company is like that, but I've been with others that are $3,000 or $4,000, the smaller ones. It's a lot of money for some of these companies, and if they can turn around and pay $1,000 to someone who's presenting 6, 7, 8 pieces of content a month that they can repurpose and reiterate to their audience, there's a lot of value in that. So sometimes what I've said with that, and I don't know in terms of exclusivity and things like that what you do, but to be able to get in the door with a client and build some rapport with them and maybe do something for 3 or 4 months with the agreement that if things are working out good, that you can have a conversation about a possible payment. I think it's good to have that long-term plan, which equates to getting money, because it is a business for everybody. But yeah, I was very curious as to your thoughts on that, because I know you're protective over your brand. You and I have had conversations about different brands in the past and stuff. And so I wanted to get kind of the other side of the coin, because everything I've done is more on the corporate side. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, I mean, there's a lot of different, ways to go about it. And of course, even just the brand reaching out directly is only one way. Then there's all different kinds of agencies as well that can reach out with different campaigns and things like that. So, but again, nobody's ever going to know what's best for your social media besides you.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on, like, what does it take for someone to convince you to go exclusive with their product? Let's say it is a supplement company,
Yeah.
or a supplement product. Like, is it a certain monetary value? Like, is that part of your negotiation? Like, if they're offering you maybe a low ball amount for what you're used to, is it possible, like, I'll agree to that, but I'm not going to go exclusive? Or how do you usually handle that?
Yeah, first and foremost, of course, exclusivity, you're talking about the brand has to be a fit for
Mhm.
both parties, right? Like, It has to be a fit for you, and it has to be a fit for whichever brand, right? I love long-term partnerships. I think they're the best. I think they're the most authentic. They're, of course, are a little bit more challenging to come by, but they do exist. And they are like, especially even for like your audience, right? It's like, you're not just like constantly talking about somebody else. There's a consistency there, which is nice.
Yeah.
So as long as the brand is a fit for both parties, that's first and foremost. 7, yeah, it's monetary. It's okay. If you want exclusivity for this product category, yes, it's a dollar amount. Absolutely. If they can't offer that dollar amount or get somewhere where, for you, wherever that is comfortable, then, you can talk about, okay, we can do non-exclusive. You can start looking at different deliverables. We can do these amount of deliverables. We can do X, this amount of dollars. We can do this. But, if they can't comfortably take you off the market in that category for that dollar amount that you could potentially get from other brands, then it's not worth it to go exclusive with someone who's not paying you what you're worth.
Right. I just had a question pop in here from Lisa. Do you need to be an influencer to make it on YouTube? I'll crack at this, and if you want to add something after, feel free, Callie. So Lisa, I guess first off, it depends on your goals, like and what you're looking to do. Like majority of the stuff that I talk about on this channel, I would say it's more business focused than it even is fitness focused. But I do focus on health and fitness industry. If you're looking to make money doing this, there's only 7 or 8 different ways to do this. There's Google AdSense money. The problem with that is that it fluctuates, and even at its peak, you have to be doing a boatload of views and view duration in order to get enough money to make it considered a job. Like if you were looking strictly for Google money, you're really putting a lot of pressure on yourself. So that's why I think it is good to look at all the different avenues of what you can do. So, if you're able to do Google AdSense money and you've got a significant amount of views coming in, that's good. If you're able to start a membership platform within YouTube and charge a small amount of money and convert 2 or 4% of your audience, that definitely helps a lot. And now you're getting closer to what could be a livable wage, we'll say. And then you've got things just like, especially with Pilates, there's a lot of products out there that are good and bad. Being able to recommend products that are available on places like Amazon, you're able to use the Amazon affiliate program, which can contribute a little bit more to your income. So you don't necessarily have to be reviewing products or taking sponsorships or things like that. But to me, I don't think you ever should turn your back to that, because particularly with a genre like Pilates, there's a lot of accessories that can be utilized, and the bigger your channel gets, the more Pilates companies that will notice that and may offer you product to use and stuff, and it gives you the opportunity to say, hey, I'll use your Pilates block in every workout, but it's going to cost you this much a month. Like there's a lot of money being left on the table, I guess is my point, if you don't pay attention to it. But that's not to say that you have to do that, because you could also be importing, Pilates accessories from China or anywhere and having your own little shop set up and selling. That's something that I'm working on right now for my channel, and beating the middleman and just doing direct sales. So there's a lot of different ways you can monetize and build an income through your audience. But you don't have to do the influencing. I recommend it if the opportunity is there and it's a fit for what you do. I don't recommend changing anything about yourself or how you want to present yourself to do it. That would take a significant amount of money to do. So that's hopefully that answers what you're saying.
I have a question about that. I don't understand, Lisa, what you mean by be an influencer to make it on YouTube. Because if you're making it on YouTube, then you are an influencer.
That's true.
They're one and the same. Do you mean do you have to have a presence as an influencer on other platforms previous? to building your YouTube? I'm confused by your question,
I
because an
think
influencer
it
is an
took me,
influencer.
I read it a couple times too, but I think, and Lisa, you can confirm this, but I think she's just referring to, do I have to be, peddling products for another company in order to be successful on YouTube, and I'm assuming she probably means financially. Because that does come up different times, where a lot of people when I start dealing with them, their main focus is subscribers and views. Because subscribers and reviews will get them monetized. And then once they're monetized on Google, I think some people in their head, they automatically assume that this is when, wealth starts. Not saying Lisa's thinking like that, but
yeah. And you also have to understand there's lots of different ways to make money on social media without just being via brands, and a product. Again, you can do views, you can do the product post, but you can have content companies that will reach out to you to create content that they're going to use on their platforms that you'll never even post on your platforms. You'll get media companies that'll hire you to host different. I got hired by the Olympic Channel. I went to Germany and covered the GFL, which is the German football league over there, and I hosted that. You get I've got, hired for, to be on Facebook Watch. They had Next Trick Shot Superstar, and I got paid to go off and compete in this trick shot competition. So there's all these different kinds of ways to make money on social media. So don't just get pigeonholed that the only way these dollars come in is through products and brand deals, because they come in all different kinds of ways based on your unique skill sets that you're able to showcase or not. So that's why it's great. Like Regan's throwing, if the better content you can make, the brands will reach out to you for that. You have a big personality, show that. You are the only one who can speak specifically about this certain Pilates move. I don't know. I'm not a Pilates person, but do that. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that you have that is your gold, that's what you should focus in on. And then the people that need that gold are going to come to you to get it. And it's going to come in all different kinds of ways that you never even imagined or knew were options. Companies reaching out to you to buy licensing rights to videos that perform well, all different kinds of things. So there's a million ways to make money being an influencer or being on social media.
And once you get into it, it's and I think this is why sometimes people will take the product in exchange for a review and things like that, even if they're not big on the product. Because I know a lot of people that I work with and that watch this channel, they work their asses off. They work so hard, and there's a long period of time where you don't get your due for the amount of effort you put in. So when somebody throws anything at you, it's it's almost like a reward, and you can't not take it because you've been waiting for someone to acknowledge your work. But that's, like you say, once you start to grow and find ways to monetize your particular style of training or fitness or nutrition or whatever it is you're doing, it's a lot of fun. I did a video a few months ago. I actually recently just did a short on that same video where I went over my income for 1 month based on my 2 channels. And what was really interesting was this channel here started off of the other channel. The other channel was getting successful based on, at that time, I think it was 8,000 or 10,000 subscribers. And so I just started talking about it on this channel and certain things I was doing with the background that I have. But then over time, this channel became more lucrative than the other channel did. And that started at 130 subscribers was all I had. I literally had people trolling me in comments because I'm giving advice on YouTube channels. They're like, do you take your own advice? Because I had 130 subscribers. But by the time I reached about 450 subscribers, that channel, this channel alone, was making about $3,000 a month. And it wasn't that difficult. It was little simplistic, basic things that I may take for granted that other people, it's hard, like thumbnail designs and email templates and just doing channel reviews and doing kind of a design makeover of somebody's channel and just a lot of little extra services and stuff. So it's amazing just discovering new ways to make money off it. as it starts to grow, it's really cool. It's really fun. Like I get more excited over a $5 tip on my YouTube channel than I do over like a big project or something that I'm doing like with my other companies. So, but yeah, I'm just looking at the last part there, what you said, Lisa. This kind of throws me off more. Do I need to hire an influencer to get found? So I'm guessing then, are you talking about just your channel, or do you have like an actual studio or a brand or a product or something? If so, and again, I'm just guessing, you can clarify that for me, but no, you don't. It just sometimes, again, like it's one of those things. Like there's been stories about brands that exploded overnight just because something was spotted in Kim Kardashian's hand or something. Like it's the power of celebrity is pretty powerful, and something can become instantly a huge deal with the right person touching it. But it also comes down to the business side of it. So if you're selling a product that maybe it's a $5 Pilates accessory, and you're going to pay Callie Bundy $100,000 to endorse it, you have to make sure that, you know, the math on that is that you're going to make 200,000 or more off of it based on that endorsement. So it's, you know, it's got to basically, there's the math in there to make sure that you're able to actually profit on influencers. So that's why things like, you know, micro influencers can be great when you're a smaller business and things like that. So again, I'm not sure if I'm touching on that properly, but you can let me know.
Yeah, and I would say, even though you say if something gets seen in Kim Kardashian's hand, it instantly becomes, or overnight, typically it may get discovered overnight, but the back end, the whatever that brand or that person or those people, like they've been working on it. Like it's not like, you know, even like when I went viral for throwing footballs and all of a sudden, you know, my accounts were exploding, and I'd already been on social media, you know, for like 6 years, like putting in work every single day, creating content, doing all these things. So you have to be doing the work as well.
Yeah.
And I agree. I didn't fully understand Lisa's question, but I do think if you're talking about to get found, if you're talking about like content social, I do think partnering with you know, doing collaborations with influencers are a great way to get found. And even in the sense of like where you're doing content where you're both sharing that content because you're both, you know, together shooting that collaboration or whatever it is a great way to create shareable content and get more views. But again, I don't know if that's what she was actually asking.
But the cool thing with YouTube too, like, I mean, we're kind of going in and out of the actual influencer ambassador getting contracts thing, but like now they've introduced the brand handles. So you're able to tag other brands on YouTube now. In the past, you couldn't do that. Like I could do a workout with, I don't know, a Body Solid gym or something, but I can't actually tag Body Solid's channel. I would have to go over to Instagram and do it or something like that. So you can do all this within YouTube now. So really any piece of equipment that you enjoy using, that you're using in a workout, you should tag it. You know, you were saying there about how sometimes you don't even have to you can get sponsorships and not even have to put their content on your channel. I've seen and witnessed during the time we worked together, somebody get a 6-figure deal, a YouTuber, to basically do a video a month for my company. And they didn't have to post it. They were giving stuff to us, and they didn't have to do anything on their own. So they were able to protect their own platform and not, you know, muddy it up with products and stuff like that. And in exchange, they were just presenting videos. I took a product deal one time. You know, I've talked about it in the past. It was resistance bands. It was a nice resistance band set. I did the workout. I hated the workout. I almost didn't post it. I finally did post it. It sat for about 2 months and had very few views on it. Then suddenly overnight, it bumped right up in views. And then I got called by the company, and they had no idea of my background, but they asked me to produce 60 videos for them, like workouts with that product for them to take. And I mean, you can do the math on what a workout video might cost times 60. And that completely happened from a video that I wasn't even going to post, from a product I accepted for free. So you don't know what's going to happen, which is why I think it's good to be paying attention to that, I don't think you should have to, pass on every free product that comes your way if it looks like it's interesting. The other thing too is I think some people need practice at representing brands. And if somebody's throwing a free product at you and you can integrate it in your channel, it's a great chance for you to work on your presentation skills and how to endorse things properly. So
yeah. And also that is a great point about, that's happened so many times for me where there's things where I'm like, this post or this video or whatever sucks. I'm not posting this. And then you post it and it's same thing, gets like no views, gets no engagement. And you're like, whatever. And then you end up getting something out of it, whether, like you said, it's a brand reach out or an agency reach out or somebody for whatever reason that's interested in that thing you did. So don't get discouraged when you're putting out content and you feel like no one's watching it or no one's liking it or you're not getting that engagement or you're like, oh, I should just stop this, it's not working. It's like it takes time. And just because you're not getting the desired result that you deem is appropriate to measure success, you literally never know whose eyeballs are going to come across that and it could change your life. Yeah. So don't get discouraged by not getting the views or people not commenting or whatever it is that we can all get sucked into, because there's so many other things that can happen that don't have anything to do with, getting 100 comments on a video.
Yeah, exactly. Lisa, it never crossed my mind to work or partner with an influencer. I just do Pilates videos, but I can start doing workouts with props to review. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I mean, I'm sure right now that you're using some sort of product in some of your videos. Whatever those brands are, it never hurts to tag them. If you never hear from them again, just untag them down the road. But give it time and even not so much partnering with an influencer, but collaborating with people. I mean, I'm collaborating with Callie right now from my channel and then she's able to talk to you guys and like, so there's collaborations are fantastic. I collaborate with somebody on my other channel as well, on the workout channel. And basically we have a deal. She doesn't get paid. She has a very lucrative coaching business based off of that channel, and she converts clients. So the business side of it is mine. The sponsorship side of it is mine. The membership side of it and the coaching clients are hers, because that's not something I'm interested in right now. So it works perfect. No one's paying in. We just collaborate all the time and it works great. It never hurts. You don't have to do this all yourself. You can, but it never hurts to have other people on. My channel has guest trainers all the time. And it's just a combination of me tapping into other people's audiences and I'm lazy and don't want to work out every day. So at least not on camera.
Oh, it's funny.
But, okay. So what was I going to ask you? I had a bunch of questions. I didn't write them down. All right, we got Lisa's question there. But, so as far as people that are just getting started, do you have any red flags when you get contacted? I mean, I know it's a little different where you're at now because you're starting at obviously a monetized payment in most cases, but are there things that you look at as, red flags when somebody contacts you? Like if it's something like, a script or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's, most brands now are all doing social media, so they have gotten a little bit better, but there's still a bit of like, this kind of old school mentality of brands wanting to control the messaging. And it's like, the reason you're hiring an influencer is for the relationship and their audience, that they've built with their audience. So it has to be authentic to who that influencer is. Otherwise it doesn't work. There's no sense of using that influencer if you're putting words in their mouth. And so that's not great. And it's something, because I've been on agency side of influencer marketing, like where we would battle with brands about that. you know, we're like, you have to let the influencers talk in their own voice, you know, you have to do this. And they're so, and then some brands are really good. They get it. So there's that. But I think one of the biggest things is like, so say if you're a smaller channel, typically, you're not going to have agencies, social media agencies reaching out to you directly. You might, but for the most part, you're probably going to have smaller brands that are reaching out to you, because they don't have the money to hire an agency to handle their influencer marketing. So I still think there's a level of professionalism that is huge, where don't just slide in my DMs and say, hey, love to send you some product, and be super, you know, like casual and whatever. And like, you know, you can't even be bothered to send an email. Like, because one, when it comes down to if you are getting paid by them or their product, like, will you even get that payment if all they're doing is DMing you and they can't, like, there's no email, there's no formal, you know, like a DM doesn't hold up in the court of law, you know, like if they stiff you on your, you know, $500 payment, you're just going to keep sending them DMs. Like, no, that's not going to work. So a level of professionalism in how they reach out to you, and then like how they approach you, like anything else, like if they're just kind of treating you like everybody else, and there's no like real genuine, you know, interest in you, it's just kind of like, you can tell it's a blanket DM that they're sending to like hundreds of influencers. I'm a hard out on that too. Absolutely.
I get at least one of those a week.
Yes. So to me, that's a huge red flag, is like the professionalism, you know, the way that they reach out to you, what they actually say, you know, how they choose to communicate with you. If they, you know, I'm a fan of, they send the DM, but they also send the follow-up email. And then of course, like, be willing to jump on a call with you, to talk about whatever it is that they're interested in, to see even if there is a fit, if you even like the people that are on the other end of the call. You know, like there's so many things that go into it, but it all just comes down to like, you know, how that relationship initially gets approached from start to finish, if it's a good fit. So those are like, for me, like the big red flags that I look for.
So you mentioned there a couple minutes ago that you think brands are getting better on social media.
No, they're using it more often.
Using it more often, because I don't think they're getting better.
Yes.
I personally think that there is a very slow evolution happening where it's changing, but even the brands don't even realize this. Some of them do. Some of the really active younger brands, I think, do, but some of the older ones do not. That it's becoming more of a switch from, you know, looking for people. Like I think a lot, especially the ones that, like you just mentioned, blanket people with emails, and it's very generic looking. You know, it's being sent out to 100 people. Like, how serious is somebody about, you know, their ambassadors if they're sending it out to people they don't even know, just blanketing it from an email database? Because you don't even know who you're giving your product to, which tells me that all they want is your subscribers and your followers and that sort of thing. They don't even care what you say. This is a complete, almost like a brain rape, where they're just trying to get in and pull your people from you. They don't care about you. So there's no future in that. But that's still what a lot of people do. Again, I've worked for companies this year, like just like I'm always working with different supplement companies and that, but so many of these companies, they look at it from the perspective of views, subscribers, and that's it. But I do believe there is a switch happening to where the content is becoming more, much more valuable. I think people are looking at it like, anytime I've got a decent sponsor through the channel, it's always been with a pitch deck. You know, when I got my first 3 sponsors, which came out to about $6,000 a month or something like that. This was very early on. This is during COVID, but I had a full pitch deck, and in the pitch deck, I was showing them, number one, the quality of the content, what it's being filmed with, what it looks like, how much it can save them, because I can produce it and I can customize it to suit their needs. They can repurpose, and it's going to save them on shooting. They don't have to be paying videographers, editors, location fees, all that kind of stuff. It can all be done as a package. I sent that out to like 300 people, and getting 3 sponsors out of 300 businesses doesn't sound good, but those 3 businesses paid, what many people would consider a full-time salary.
Yeah.
So I do think that it's becoming a little more creator focused, which is why I'm a big advocate of really paying attention to the quality of the content you produce, and not just, relying on your look or things like that. Cause I just think that, I think it's nice to have, I think, working selfie videos and stuff into your arsenal is okay, because there is an authentic realness to it. But I don't think you can pull in big dollars off of that. Any
It
thoughts on
really
that?
depends on the brand, actually.
Yeah.
Like some of them will request that you do selfie video.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think because we live in a live video world now. Like, it's first it was photo, and then it was video, and now it's live. People prefer
Yeah.
live. So when you're on your phone doing a reel or things like that, it does give the impression of in the moment, which I think, so any company that requests that, I actually commend them, because I think they're thinking very modern in terms of authenticity.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
but
I've shot stuff for companies before, and then I send it in and they're like, we love it. It's great. We love the messaging, but can you reshoot it as a selfie video? And I'm like, oh, I wish you would have told me that first. It's so much easier to do, because you don't have to
yeah,
do all the things. It's like, but so a lot of them do request selfie video, but that's where I think it's nice to have the mix.
yeah,
Because ultimately it's funny, like even on any of my platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, like you name it. The like highest performing things on there,
yeah,
always selfie anything, selfies or selfie video.
yeah,
Like you could have the nicest, like I'm like, oh, this video is amazing. I do it with this company. It came out so cool, whatever. Crickets.
yeah.
And then it's like a selfie video and people are like, oh, chiming in and whatever. So that's where it's really nice to have the mix
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
everything, because it all matters.
And I think it also matters what level you're at too, because, I think in 2022, again, like I oftentimes, because again, when a lot of the people that watch this channel, they're building channels right now. You're not building the Callie Bundy brand anymore. You're maintaining the Callie Bundy brand. And I'm sure you're always evolving it. But when starting out, I always tell people to think with the mindset of, you're not the star of the show right now. Your platform is. You're a supporting character, and especially with YouTube, because you're building up this brand, whether it's a Pilates brand or a kettlebell video brand, and you are basically that supporting character. But over time, that can change, and you kind of trade places, and you become the brand, and then the channel becomes the supporting character. So I think at this point with you, if I were hiring you for something, I would want a lot of authentic content, because and you know better, because you know the brands you're working with. But I would assume at this point the value in hiring you is Callie Bundy. It's not, and I mean, you've got everything branded as Callie Bundy anyway. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's more like the difference between hiring somebody who's got great quality stuff, but they're relatively unknown, versus somebody who's really well known,
Right.
in the sports world and stuff. So that's how. So I would think it's a little bit different in that sense. But yeah, I do think the mix is good, because again, it's authenticity, and that's one thing I've always, going way back, always commended you for, because again, people. I worked with multiple brands when I was working with you, and there were a lot of people who I always felt were, when you and I worked together, I felt that's when the conversion was happening from photo to video on social
Yeah.
media, which is around that 2015, 2016 period.
Yeah.
And I would go on and say 85% of the ambassadors that I worked with were not video friendly. Like, they just weren't ready for video. And some of them were like very good looking bodybuilders or beautiful women, but they could not do anything other than pose for a still shot. And that's where I felt you did stand out, because you had a personality. You had, it wasn't there was no kind of provocativeness to you. It was not about that. It was much more of a sporty, girly next doors kind of thing. And I think it resonated at a time, especially when a lot of people did not know how to do that. And that's what I always felt was good. And I mean, again, and I think over time you've managed to continue to evolve and stay on top of that. Like, I don't think this just happens to you. I think there's a much more calculated individual that that basically puts this all together. But you could tell me differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Like I said, like before I even started building my social media, like I had the vision of I'm going to create my own audience because there's value in eyeballs. Like
Yeah.
I saw this before I built it.
Mhm.
1000%.
Just out of curiosity, for any of you guys that are listening, how many of you guys have done any, whether it's, reviews in exchange for products or paid reviews? I'm curious as to what kind of, because I know there's people from different countries that are listening, and like what sort of deals have been presented to you. I'm just kind of, I know of people that I coach, and I know there's people here from Facebook, and their names don't come up, so I have no idea who any of them are. But I'm just kind of curious as to what sort of deals come across, because I get a lot of questions myself about, should I do this, should I not? And if you guys ever want to present these to Callie, like right now, she can tell you if she's ever seen these and her thoughts on them and stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of spam stuff that comes up. I've had some good ones. I've had, like, my rule of thumb. I like you just said, like, I always try and keep maintain the integrity of my brand. There's been products that I've accepted, but I told the people up front that if I don't like this when I see it, I said, and I'm not prejudging, but if I don't think the quality is good, because right now I'm kind of speculating, because, for example, somebody sent me a product it was on Amazon, and there were a lot of negative reviews on Amazon. So I said, if it's bad, I'm not going to say anything bad about it. I'm just not going to review it. So as long as you're comfortable with that. And they were. And then I realized that all the negative reviews were, it wasn't the product's fault. It was the people's fault. Once I got it, the product was very just kind of, I don't say chintzy, but pretty whatever. But it worked. It did what they said it was going to do. Just people were using it the wrong way, and that's what gave it negative reviews. So, but yeah, it's there's interesting stuff. I've had bands. I've had massage guns. I got about 3 of those. Those are pretty good.
Yeah.
Strength bands, all-in-one gyms, suspension trainers. Like, it's kind of fun. And I think it really peaked during COVID because people were trying to find ways to make sales, and it was hard.
Yeah.
KJ, we've been offered deals with booty bands and some kind of hip thruster band and several workout applications, but we declined all of them so far. So KJ, were those all in like Dubai or Sweden, or were those like US companies? I'm just kind of curious. I know KJ's asked me about some products in the past too. We've worked together a bit. She's been following the channel for a while. Because didn't you take a clothing sponsorship? While we're waiting for her to say, so Callie, what are your thoughts on the companies that monitor sales? Like, if they do like affiliate, like they'd give you the link, like the promo code?
I think, again, it's such a fitness industry thing. Like, you almost never see them in any other genre. Like, it's like the code thing is such a big fitness industry thing.
Yeah.
And of course, again, when you're smaller and you're starting out, you're either going to get product or you're going to get product with a code, right? And they'll give you a percentage of your sales.
Yeah.
So when you're, again, depending if it's a product you really like and you're smaller and you like, they're not asking for anything crazy, like there's no exclusivity or whatever it is, and you actually use it, and, then go for it. I feel like the bigger that you get, I don't love it. Like, I think it's almost
We've
I
talked
like
about this
it.
off camera
Yeah.
before. That's why I'm
I
asking you.
like it in the sense of if it's just a straight up discount for my followers, like if
Yeah.
it's 10% off for my followers, or 25% off for them or whatever it is, I'm all for it if it's a discount for them. But if it's a code for me to collect sales money, no. Flat rate. Like I'm not a fan
Yeah.
of codes once you get to a certain point.
Well, one company that I worked for this year did this, and I thought it was fascinating for two reasons. When we had worked previously, when I first met you, to my knowledge, and I mean, again, I wasn't talent relations, but I don't think there was any metrics to measure whether or not ambassadors and influencers were worth what they were being paid, other than maybe longevity or time they put in with the brand and stuff. But when I worked with this company, so everybody got a promo code. I don't believe there was a discount with the promo code. I don't know this for sure though.
Okay.
But what it showed, they had it all set up and it was all automated that if you're being paid $500 a month, it's basically it's got one bar that shows what you're being paid. Like it's like a graph. And then it shows that you're bringing in $20 a month. But then there'd be somebody else who's being paid $200 a month and they're bringing in $1,000 a month in sales through their promo code.
Right.
To me, I think that again, and we're dealing in different levels here.
Yeah.
But for you, there could be like maybe a level of tiny bit insulting, maybe or aggravating or things like that. And I understand that.
Yeah.
For somebody like who's just starting it, I think this is great because this separates the people who actually hustle and create good quality content with the people who buy fake followers and fake views and fake likes and all that kind of stuff. And they get like a deal for $500-600 a month plus product in exchange for nothing. I'd rather see somebody with 2,000 followers who gets paid $300 and then they're selling this product through their promo code. And out of their 2,000 followers, they're making 40 or 50 sales a month and bringing in money for this company. Like I was so impressed with how this company had it set up because they know who's hustling for them.
Right.
And to me, I can see value in that, especially this was a company that, they had reasonable budgets, but they're also smaller. They're not like a major company. And I thought it was great. But again, like I can see both sides of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. They just they're one of those things too. Like personally, I don't know if I've ever used a code in my life.
yeah.
Like if I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy something. I don't know. So it's just like, I just don't, I think when you get to a certain point, I think when you're smaller, I think they serve their purpose, and again, yeah, typically smaller brands will want to do things like codes, because they have smaller budgets.
Well, I mean, I think in some cases they have to. I mean, there's got to be some metric to showing if again, I've been in I've gone through this from a creative perspective where I've been in meetings about, doing promotional videos for products or for brands and the brand wanting to really push ingredients and the other guys don't do this and all this kind of stuff, where I was much more about creating kind of targeting the emotional sale versus the analytical sale. I don't think people buy protein powder based on the percentage of glutenflavin or whatever that's in it. I think oftentimes they will buy protein powder based literally on the promo. Like people buy Under Armour stuff not because of the thread count; they buy it because The Rock wears it. Prove me wrong. But so I mean, I do think there's a fine line between that emotional sale and the analytical sale. So there is value in having somebody with a reputable name and value who's doing, like yourself. You're on ESPN sometimes. You did the Go Big, was it Go Big show last year?
Yeah.
You're popping up in all these places. There's a lot of value just having your face on the website. Not everything has to be a direct A to B. But if somebody was going to hire my YouTube channel, which has 20,000 or 25,000 subscribers on it, this is a smaller level a person. So I wouldn't be offended if they gave me a promotional code to pass on to my people, and then they can basically gauge it. Okay, we're paying him $500 a month. He makes good content, and he makes us $500 a month. So he's not costing us a dime.
Right.
Like for those smaller brands, I think that's good. I don't think that's something somebody starting out should shy away from, but I totally get where you're coming from too.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really smart. And again, I've worked with a number of companies that did nothing like that. And you just know that some of the people representing them, they're not selling anything. They're just not, they're not relatable. There's a lot of people that make, they make their posts about themselves. And I just think that there is a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a certain magic to being an online influencer, and a lot of people do not have it.
Yes,
but they still get hired. But that's the fitness industry shooting itself in the foot, because a lot of people just don't learn from it.
Correct.
Just going back to KJ's thing there. So Asia and European, okay. Brand deals, hip thruster band. What made you decline them, KJ? Just basically looking product in exchange for, here's your script and say it. Just curious. And yeah, if any of you guys have questions relating to your channels or anything like that, good time to pop them in there. As I said, like Callie knows this stuff well. I see so many coaches that are teaching this stuff, and the stuff they're teaching is dog crap, for lack of a better word, because they've never been on either side of this conversation, and they don't realize what it entails. It's kind of speculation.
Yes.
So now, when you get approached by a company, do you do your diligence as far as before you, if it's a situation where you're going to basically offer what you'll do it for, do you look and see how big the company is, and then kind of base part of your request on that? Or do you just have like a blanket rate to be an ambassador for somebody?
I mean, it's all different. So a lot of my deals too come in via agencies now, right? So it's like they're not just coming in directly from the brands. The majority of my deals come in through agencies. So the agency has already done that vetting, right? They know it might be a repeat customer for them. They know the ins and outs. They know what their total budget is. They know, how many influencers they're trying to spread that budget across, So when a deal comes in from an agency, it's a totally different ball game. So versus a brand reaching out to you directly. And in that case, you have to do more due diligence and seeing the brand, getting on calls with them, seeing who you're dealing with, talking to them, finding out what they're all about, seeing who they've worked with before. You have to kind of do all the things that an agency would be doing. So
What do you find harder, the smaller brands or the bigger ones?
The smaller brands.
More difficult?
Yeah. They're because they don't have the money really. So they have these really lofty dreams without the money. And then because they're so attached to that money that they're spending, they are very controlling and very they
have a lot of time in their hands to
and they're we want this, we want it that way, we want this, we want that, we need to do blah blah blah. It's almost not even worth it. Again, at a certain level, it's not even worth it. Because the smaller brands are much more controlling, and they don't have the budgets, and they have versus you'll get these brands that'll come in, it'll be massive, right? You know, and it'll be hey, okay, here's 10 grand, we want you to do this one thing. And you do it and you send it to them, they're okay, it's great, approved, and it's the easiest thing ever. Versus this other brand that's we've got $500 and we want and they're so attached to it. So the small brands are definitely
how many times you've been offered equity in the company?
A few, yes, by the newer, smaller brands who offer, yes, equity. And then again, it's
5% of
like,
nothing.
right, of what? And you can't, I respect the passion and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the smaller brands are always much more difficult to work with.
Yeah. Just seeing Ellie's comment. Amazing talking live today, guys. Enjoyed listening to this conversation. Thank you, Ellie. Appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here. And just going back to KJ's, got some clothing deals, didn't take them. They're only offered discount on the clothes, no name. Yeah, the discount, that's the worst. At least give you the clothes. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
blame you for that. Declined the bands because we only got offered the product, which we looked up was like worth $3. Yeah. How can you give any advice to people? Like, the number one question I get when it comes to any of this stuff, and again, we're probably dealing a few tiers down from where you are right now, but
Yeah.
what am I worth comes up all the time. How do you gauge what you're worth to a company? Now, I know part of that is probably just the amount of experience you've got, but how do
So
you come up with a number? I mean, I know you mentioned agencies and stuff. They probably do some pitching for you, but I'm curious to your thoughts on that because that's a big thing that people
this
don't.
is such a case by case situation, and everybody wants this magic formula for it.
Mhm.
And this is where really working with an agency and having an agent who helps you understand your value and negotiating deals is huge. And this is something like, the coaching, social media coaching that we talked about, that I
Mhm.
can help people identify on their own, for them, for their channels. Of course, if you're smaller, you don't have an agent, you're not working with an agency, all these things, because it really is such a case by case thing.
Mhm.
Like, it depends on, first and foremost, the platform, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's TikTok, they all have different dollar values.
Now,
The size,
is it a different dollar value based on the platform or based on your popularity on the platform?
both.
Okay.
Both. So again, it's like it really depends, on those. It also depends on the genre of influencer you are. Whether you're fitness, whether you're food, whether you're a tech guy, whether you're
Mhm.
a travel influencer, right? Like, so the genre of influencer you are matters. The following, like how many people out there are doing what you do, matters, right? Because it's like you can't have some jacked up rate if there's this saturated market full of all these other people doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you're a different, unique influencer, in a space, right? And then too, that's where it's like it's good to not just be popular on one platform, right? So, because a lot of brands or agencies want to take on, like if you're trying to get signed by an influencer marketing agency, they want to take on influencers who are big across multiple platforms.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I have, my Facebook is my biggest platform. I have like 460,000 followers on Facebook, 300 and I don't know, 40 something thousand on Instagram.
Mhm.
40,000. Like, I have good numbers across almost every platform I use.
Yeah.
So brands and agencies want to work with people like that because they can do lump sum deals, right? Where if they take you on to work with you for a month for whatever it is, um, they might want you to post on Twitter, and then one day they want you to post on Facebook, and one day they want you to post on Instagram, right? So
Mhm.
it's, and it might be they want one YouTube video, right? So the larger that you can be across all those platforms matters. Where if you're just popular on one platform, that changes your rate and your value as well,
Yeah.
right? So there's no like cut and dry answer to that. It really just depends on like a multitude of boxes, all the things I just said, the platform, your
Yeah.
following, your genre, all of these different things. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, like anything else, you're really worth what somebody's willing to pay you. So, your rate may be $2,000 a post.
Yeah.
Great. But that company, it only has $2,000 for that entire campaign. So they're offering you $500,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, are you willing to take that $500 because they're like, we really want to work with you, you want to work with them, they're not able to pay you your quote unquote rate, so this is what we have, this is the budget, and that's it, you decide from there. So there's no cut and dry answer. Anybody that tells you that there is a cut and dry answer to figuring out rate is full of it. So I'm happy to help again in the coaching sessions to work with people on understanding that, because I've negotiated deals not only for myself but for other influencers, like on the agency end of this. So I've been on both sides for years, so I've seen all kinds of deals, and massive deals, and like literally, like, you know, all of your money can come in off of social media. So it's really, but there is an art to it, and there's no cut and dry formula for figuring it out.
Yeah, I look at it, you know, I've tried to explain it just from the level that I work at now, but you know, there's scenarios, there's like, and I'd be curious to how you would compute this, and I know it's not cut and dry, but let's say you have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And let's say you've got 5,000 subscribers and you're active on YouTube. And I'm just going to throw randomness at you here. Somebody contacts you, they've got an apple cider vinegar gummy bear, and they want you to basically do like a product review within one of your workouts. Like at some point, whether it's at the first of the video or something like that. What goes into your mind in terms of what you would charge at that level? Because this is the kind of thing that I get, and this is kind of the thing that you're going to get too. And just before Callie starts, guys, Callie's contact info is going to be in the description of this, and she is in the process of doing it now, and also setting up platforms to. She's going to be helping with a lot of this coaching as it pertains to you know, how to navigate this, because there's just a lot of intricacies that go into protecting your brand and building up perceived value and things like that. And she knows this better than anybody I know. So that stuff will be in there, and you guys will have her social handles and stuff will all be there as well. So with that said,
so first and foremost, you need a super clear understanding of what the video is, right? Like, what is the actual deliverable? So is it your entire video? Is it in the intro? Is it in the middle of the video? Can it be at any point in the video? Are they looking for a 15-second hit, a 30-second hit, a 45-second hit, a 60-second hit?
Yeah.
All of those things. Like, if they're just saying, hey, we want you to use this, you know, product in your video, and there's no understanding of what it is, how can you negotiate any kind of rate, right?
Yeah.
So you need to understand that because again, like, there's a million ways to create social media deals, but first and foremost, you need to understand what the deliverable is. So, you know, say a lot of brands will be like, oh, well, what do you want to do? Which is like the worst thing ever, right? Because it means they like have no clue what they actually want. So like, chances are whatever you could create for them, they will have no opinion on, because they don't know what they want. It's like, it's really hard to work with people who don't know what they want.
Yeah, they know what they don't want once you finish.
Yes. So I would get a very clear understanding of what the finished deliverable is that they want, right? And then try to nail them, you know, pin them down to a number. Okay, so for this deliverable, if we're doing a 15-second spot at the beginning of my YouTube video, you know, what is your budget? And again, they'll probably be like, well, what do you charge, right? So then you'll go through this kind of cycle, but say they're offering $500. Okay, $500 for a 15-second spot at the intro of your YouTube video. If that's not something that you're comfortable with, like say your 15-second spot on the intro of a YouTube video starts at $2,000, then you can then from there understand, okay, well, here's what I can do for $500. And then you can kind of negotiate into something that's more comfortable for your content based on a dollar value. So there's a lot of ways around it. But you really, again, have to, it's understanding what the deliverable is, understanding what their budget is, and then from there, finding something that works for you and them to hopefully create something that works for both parties.
Yeah. And like I've, excuse me. I think there's an easy way, especially when you're getting started too, to just literally do the math on it. Like, what do you want to make per hour? Because a great example that I ran into was I was asked one time to do a review on a wallet, which doesn't really mesh well with a fitness channel. So it's right off the bat, it's a product that does not really go with the flow. That there's a dollar value on that in my mind. Um, and because of the intricacies of it, I worked it out that basically it's going to take me about 90 minutes to shoot the review. And I look at the fact, okay, 90 minutes to shoot it. It's gonna take me about an hour. I'll round it up to do the edit. And then I got to add it to the front of my video. My channel gets, 2 to 3 million views annually. And this thing, once it's up there, it's living there. So it's not like you're just basically firing off a 30-second review and putting like, there is a value in that thing being on your channel for the rest of your life. Basically, it's there. So they continue to get residuals for years to come off that. So what I typically do with that, like if somebody were to offer me $500 for that, which is in this case is exactly what I got, is it's like, okay, it's going to take me 3 hours to actually do this. And I would charge myself like, okay, I'm going to pay myself $50 an hour. So there's $150 off 500. And I'm risking, because they want it at the start of the video, you are risking abandonment of your videos. So if your average view duration on a video is 12 minutes and 10 seconds, that could very easily be cut down because somebody's going to see a promotion at the start for a wallet and they're just going to say F this and they're going to leave it. So you are risking losing Google AdSense money there and losing subscribers because of that. There's a value on that. So you start doing the math and you can say, okay, all things considered, here's the dollar amount, maybe buffer it with a 20% tip for yourself. If that comes within $500, then it's worth it. And I find that's the easiest way starting out is just to think of how much time it's going to take you, give yourself like a 20% gratuity, just, in case they ask you to do a revision or something, you've already kind of paid yourself, and just do it from the actual, the labor intense side of it. And then, whatever's left is basically what you're charging them for this video to live on your channel for a long period of time. And I think that's especially important when it's not a product that synergizes with your channel. It's one thing, like I do a lot of kettlebell videos on my channel. If it's a kettlebell thing, I'm not as worried about that living on my channel because I do kettlebell videos anyway. But a wallet or, an apple cider gummy thing, or which was offered to me at one point, like that kind of stuff, it's a little harder to integrate and you need to charge for that. And I think that's, go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And then I would say the second part to that too, and this is where again an agency comes in very handy, is the contract piece of it. So once you reach that deliverable of whatever it's going to be, and you come down to like, you've decided what you want to make an hour and all of that, and everything gets agreed to, and they send over the contract. Read the contracts. A lot of people, the brands are notorious. Like they're going to write everything in that contract in their favor, and they try to sneak in stuff that wasn't negotiated all the time. They'll be able to like use your content for a lifetime with like anything they want on anywhere and never have to pay you anything and all these different things. And again, this is something I've dealt with. I deal with every single day. I read these contracts. So this is something I can help people with. But you then all of a sudden like agreed what you agreed to in this email and these conversations. Now they're adding on probably at least another, $4,000 worth of value to this deal that you never really agreed to, but just because you don't know how to read that contract, you then sign away on. And they're notorious for doing that. So read the contracts.
Where do you fall in on that when it comes to usage of your content? Like if you were to do a 12-month deal with a company, do you care if your face is used? Like because I'm always thinking, because if you leave a company, chances are you're not done influencing products. So do you make sure that you're kind of like, if you stop paying me, this stuff goes away?
1000%. Yeah.
When did you start doing that? Was that early on you just started doing that, or did you learn?
No,
the hard way or
No,
something.
because early on you're like, oh great, I want to use my face forever. Fantastic. You know, like you're
Yeah.
like, but then you of course get a little smarter. You understand your value. You're like, oh no, no, no. If somebody wants to use my face forever, they're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's all stuff that came, you know, by learning or, you know, having my agents, you know, I'm like so excited about something and then my agent's like, "Oh, we're reviewing this contract and, you know, so and so wrote in this here." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And they're like, "Yeah, they do this all the time. You know, they try to write this stuff in here at the end." And like I had no idea, right? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was reading it, but I didn't understand what I was actually reading.
Yeah.
So always protect your brand. Always. Like if somebody wants that access to your name, your likeness, your photos, whatever it is, your content that you create for them, like, yeah, they're going to pay for it.
Do you ever do consultations? Like if somebody was presented a contract and it's maybe their first or they're not sure, but do you ever help people review that stuff? Like do that kind of?
Yes, all the
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, and I get that people are like, you know, especially when it's a big deal or a big company, like, you know, somebody reached out and they were like, you know, Coca-Cola just sent me a contract, like, and I'm not sure. And I'm like, yes, let's jump on a call and work through this, right? Because first of all, Coca-Cola has bank, right? And
Yeah.
they have like their contract for like a 1-page deliverable is like a 10-page minimum. So there's
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff to work through in here. But yes, I do that for people because it happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's so, I mean, again, it's such a lucrative thing, but there's so many little intricacies that we don't think about. And like I said, especially when you're kind of just on the rise and building, like you're so excited just to get a call.
Yeah.
It's like sign away. And then you realize that you're connected to a company for the rest of your life. And I'm sure that can even affect you if a company does stop paying you and you want to move on to another company. That company that you're moving on to probably does not want your face on another brand. So it's
Yes.
that's where it comes down to protecting your own brand. And that, you know, I don't care what level somebody's at, that does start now. You don't wait until you've grown, you know, to a much larger size to start caring about that stuff, because it might be too late. So
Yeah, absolutely.
well, that's good. I'm like, we covered a lot of territory here, and I think that's great. And like I said to you guys, you know, Callie's info is going to be down there. Callie does do consultations on this stuff. I always say that, you know, I stay in my lane. I know a bit about this from my own experiences and from, you know, the corporate side of it and what those guys are looking for. But she understands the value of a personal brand, how to protect it, and how to charge for it, and that sort of thing. So highly recommend you guys check out some of the links that I'll be posting in there. And you can always contact Callie even through this channel too. We'll probably have her on every now and then. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you guys are watching this, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I hate saying that out loud, but it does help the video and it helps the channel. Yeah, you too. Give it a thumbs up. When you watch yourself back later, give it a thumbs up.
I will.
And as always, guys, there's going to be a lot more. I've said before, I've been very negligent of this channel this year. A lot of other outside work has gotten in the way. It's going to be much more regular moving forward. All the same services as before, in addition to some new things and that. So as we're heading into January, if any of you guys have concerns with your channels, you want to do a channel review, channel audits, things like that, I will be offering some free ones during the live streams. And we can also do private one-on-one consultations about that stuff. And it's all up in the far corner there somewhere. The buymeacoffee.com trainer hub. There's a variety of different like services and stuff that this channel offers should you be in need of that kind of stuff. Because it's amazing when you get into kind of a stalemate or your channel becomes stagnant and it kind of stops growing. Sometimes it's a matter of 2 or 3 little tweaks. And the analytics don't lie. All the information is in your analytics. If you're not sure how to read those, reach out and you can find out usually pretty quickly what's going on and what's causing the channel not to grow. So we will leave it at that. And as always, it was great catching up, Callie, and talking to you. And I appreciate you being on here. And we will talk to you guys very soon. Take care.
Bye.